If you reached the end of your life today and were faced with a detailed report of exactly how many hours you spent staring at a screen searching for nothing, would you feel proud or would you feel a deep, soul-crushing regret? Time isn't just money, man. Time is the very fabric of your life. While you're getting lost in useless notifications, your life is passing you by. Your kids are growing up without you actually being there. Your dreams are rotting away, and the man you were meant to become is slowly fading into the background. I get it. I've been there. That trance where you pick up your phone to check one important thing and 20 minutes later you realize you're watching random videos that won't do a single thing for your bank account, your marriage, or your faith. Do you feel that weight in your chest at the end of the day? That feeling like you've been running all day, but if someone asks what you actually built, you just don't have an answer? This isn't just a lack of organization, it's a war for your attention, because whoever controls your attention controls your life. And if you're a man of faith, you know we were called for something much greater than being mere consumers of cheap entertainment. The Bible is crystal clear about the value of our days. Ephesians 5:15-16 gives us a warning that feels like it was written for us today. Look then carefully how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Pay close attention to that phrase, making the best use of the time. In the original text, it literally means to redeem, like rescuing someone from captivity. It's as if your time has been kidnapped by these algorithms and distractions, and you, as the man of the house, need to step in as the liberator. If you don't reclaim your time, the world will devour it and give you nothing in return. I'm not talking to you as someone who's perfect. I'm talking as someone who realized that my time is my greatest stewardship. God gave us a finite number of days on this earth. Every minute you waste on a hollow distraction is one less minute you're investing in being the leader your family desperately needs. The good news? The fog can be cleared. There is a path back to clarity. You weren't built to live in this state of mental fog and constant exhaustion, but to get out, the first step is admitting that you're being robbed. I don't just want you to get productive, I want you to reclaim your dignity as a man who knows exactly where he's going. If you feel like your focus has been hijacked and you want to take back the reins of your life to be the man God called you to be, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Because what we're discussing here isn't life coaching, it's a life principle. It's about being the captain of your own soul. But fair warning, this goes way deeper than you think. Distraction isn't just a bad habit. There's something moving behind the scenes, a silent thief who doesn't just want your time, he wants your destiny. But who is this thief, and how does he manage to play us so easily every single day?
The destiny thief. Have you ever stopped to wonder why it's so hard to stay focused on what actually matters? Why is it that the moment you sit down to work on your project, read your Bible, or play with your kids, your mind feels like radio static, constantly searching for another frequency? The problem, brother, is that distraction isn't an accident, it's a strategy. There is a destiny thief operating in the world today, and his favorite tool isn't some scandalous sin that brings you to your knees in shame. No, his tool is noise. It's keeping you so busy with the irrelevant that you have no energy left for the essential. Think about it. If the enemy of your soul can't make you a bad man, he'll settle for making you a busy man. Too busy to be a present husband, too busy to hear God's voice, too busy to build a legacy. We need to understand a fundamental principle. Your time does not belong to you. You might think, wait, I worked for this, I earned this time. In reality, your time is a resource entrusted to you. It's what we call stewardship. You are the manager of a capital that God invested in you, and one day, every manager has to give an account. There's a passage in the Bible that makes me tremble and at the same time brings absolute clarity. In Matthew 25:19, in the parable of the talents, it says, "Now after a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them." Look at those words, after a long time. The master didn't come back the next day. He gave them space, freedom, and time, but he did come back. And the question he asked wasn't how much they enjoyed themselves or how many videos they watched to kill time. The question was, what did you do with what I gave you? When you spend 3 hours scrolling through an endless feed, you aren't just relaxing, you are throwing away the talent of time that could have been used to build your home, take care of your health, or serve others. Distraction is the wasting of the seed God placed in your hand. Do you know the biggest lie that Destiny Thief tells you? He says, "You'll do it tomorrow. You'll focus tomorrow. Just 5 more minutes here." But those 5 minutes added up over a lifetime become years of buried potential. But let me give you some hope. Identifying the thief is the first step to kicking him out of your house. The fact that you're feeling this conviction right now is a sign that your spirit is waking up. You don't want to be the man who reaches the end of his life with empty hands. You want to be the man who hears, "Well done, good and faithful servant." The good news is that God doesn't expect you to take back control alone. He gave you the intelligence and the will to build defenses. But to do that, you must learn the art of saying no. And not just saying no to bad things, but saying no to good things that are taking the place of the great things. But how do you do this in practice? How do you build a wall between yourself and this sea of distractions? There's a man in the Bible who faced this exact problem. He was trying to build something great, and the whole world tried to break his focus with interesting invitations and noise. What he did changed the destiny of an entire nation. Are you ready to learn the Nehemiah Protocol?
The Nehemiah Protocol. Do you know the biggest mistake the modern man makes? He thinks he needs to be available to everyone all the time. He thinks being a nice guy means answering every notification, responding to every group chat the second it pings, and accepting every invitation that comes his way. But let me talk to you man to man. A man who is available for everything is useless for nothing. If you don't have boundaries, you don't have a life. You have a vacant lot where anyone can walk in and dump their trash. This is where the Nehemiah Protocol comes in. Nehemiah's story is about a man with a clear mission to rebuild the walls of his city. He wasn't a pulpit preacher, he was a builder, a man of action. And while he was up there with calloused hands doing the work, his enemies, who couldn't stop him by force, tried to stop him through distraction. They sent him messages saying, "Come down, Nehemiah. Let's meet in the plain. Let's talk. We need to discuss some important matters." It sounded harmless, right? Maybe even polite. But Nehemiah had discernment. He knew it was a trap to pull his focus away from the work. His response is what I want you to tattoo on your mind today. It's in Nehemiah 6:3. "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?" Brother, feel the weight of that. He didn't make excuses. He didn't try to be political. He simply stated, "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down." You need to understand that your life, your health, your children's upbringing, and your relationship with God are your great work. When your phone vibrates with gossip, or someone calls you for something that will drain your energy and produce nothing eternal, you need the courage to say, "I cannot come down." I want to make a pact with you. If you've decided you're no longer coming down from the wall for nonsense, if you want to be the man who builds his house instead of just watching other people's lives pass by, subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button as a sign that you've taken your post on the wall. We are building a brotherhood of men seeking self-mastery and the presence of God, and I want you on our side.
Saying no to distraction isn't being rude, it's being faithful to what God put in your hands. When you say yes to a useless notification in the middle of your work or prayer time, you are saying no to the people who depend on you most. You are leaving the wall unprotected. The relief here, brother, is that you have permission to be inaccessible. You are not a servant of your smartphone. You are a servant of the Most High. When you start saying no to the small things, you gain an authority and a peace that most men can't even imagine. You start seeing real progress. But I have to be honest with you, sometimes the problem isn't the invitation from the outside. Sometimes we are the ones sabotaging ourselves. Have you noticed that even when the world goes quiet, your own mind starts screaming? Why do we feel this almost physical need to flee from silence and seek distraction the moment things get tough? There is a silent war happening inside your head right now, and that's the battle we're going to talk about next.
The silent war in your mind. Have you ever felt that mental itch? You decide to focus on an important project or take 10 minutes to read the Bible and talk to God. But in less than 60 seconds, your mind starts screaming. You remember an email you didn't send, a controversy you saw on X, or you feel a physical urge to check if anyone liked your photo. This isn't a character flaw, brother. It's a biological and spiritual war. We have trained our brains to be addicted to quick hits. Every notification is a hit of dopamine, and your brain has become an addict that can't handle 5 minutes of boredom or real effort without its next fix. The cold, hard truth is that most men use distraction as anesthesia. We distract ourselves because we are afraid of the silence. In the silence, we are forced to face who we actually are. In the silence, the hard questions surface. Am I being a good father? Why do I feel so empty? What does God actually expect of me? It's much easier to open Instagram and watch a stranger's life than to face the flaws in your own. The Bible describes the state of a man who has lost this internal battle very vividly. In Proverbs 25:28, we read, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." What a powerful image. A man without mastery, a man who lets himself be carried away by every distracting thought or impulse, is like a city with its walls torn down. He is exposed. Any invading thought enters, any temptation moves in, any waste of time dominates him. If you cannot govern your attention, you cannot govern your life. This silent war is about who's in charge, your spirit or your base impulses. The fleshly man wants the immediate pleasure of distraction. The spiritual man seeks eternal purpose. Every time you give in to distraction because the work is hard or the silence is uncomfortable, you are weakening your walls. But here is the perspective of relief. Your mind can be retrained. You aren't broken forever. Self-control is a muscle. Every time you feel the urge to grab your phone and you choose not to, you are laying another brick in your wall. Every time you force your mind back to the task at hand, you are reclaiming the government of your spirit. God did not give us a spirit of fear or confusion, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You have the divine capacity to say "not now" to your impulses. The mental clarity you crave is just on the other side of that wall of discomfort that distraction tries to make you avoid. The secret to winning this war isn't just willpower, it's understanding that there is a place of peace and power you only access when you turn off the noise. There is a voice you can only hear when every other voice goes quiet. But how do we access that level of clarity? How do we turn silence, which used to cause fear, into your greatest ally for hearing the Creator's will? I'm going to show you how the presence of God is the ultimate antidote to distraction, and how the now is the only place where you can truly find power. The power of now and the presence of God.
Let me ask you something and be honest with yourself. When was the last time you were totally in a room? Without thinking about what happened yesterday, without worrying about tomorrow's bills, and especially without feeling that phone vibrate in your pocket. We live in an era of fragmented men. You're at the dinner table with your wife, but your mind is in a work group chat. You're at church, but your mind is on the football game. You're trying to pray, but your mind is replaying an argument you had 3 days ago. Distraction has turned us into ghosts in our own homes. And here is the deep truth the world tries to hide from you. God can only be found in the now. When he introduced himself to Moses, he didn't say, "I was" or "I will be." He said, "I am." God's grace, his guidance, and the strength you need to overcome your challenges aren't stored in the past or stockpiled in the future. They are available in the present moment. When you live a distracted life, you are literally closing your ears to the voice of God. We spend our lives asking for a sign, direction, or light, but God rarely shouts. He won't compete with the volume of your podcast or the noise of your notifications. He speaks in the silence, in that still, small voice that only those who are truly present can hear. There is a verse that is the ultimate antidote to the anxiety of distraction. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." Often we read that and think it's just an invitation to relax. It's not. In the original language, "be still" carries the weight of dropping your weapons, ceasing to fight the wind, or surrendering. It's a command to stop trying to control everything through frantic busyness and simply be present before the Creator. The man who learns to be still gains an unfair advantage over the rest of the world. Why? Because he begins to receive practical revelations for his life. In the silence, you realize that the aggressive way you reacted to your son wasn't because of him, it was because of your own exhaustion. In the silence, God gives you the idea to solve that work problem you've been trying to force for weeks. In the silence, your purpose becomes clear. The relief, brother, is that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Distraction is often a desperate attempt by our minds to solve everything at once. But faith teaches us that each day has enough trouble of its own. When you focus on the now, the burden becomes light. You discover you have enough grace for the next 5 minutes, and that's all you really need. Being present is an act of worship. It's saying, "Lord, the time you gave me right now is sacred, and I will not profane it with nonsense." When you give full attention to your child, you are reflecting God's love to them. When you give full attention to your work, you are glorifying God with excellence. But I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but how do I actually do this on a Monday morning when my boss is breathing down my neck and my phone won't stop ringing? Spirituality without practice is just theory. That's why in the next part, we're getting into the trenches. I'm going to give you practical tools, battle tactics to take back control of your day and your schedule. Are you ready to stop theorizing and start governing your time for real?
Tools for self-mastery. I know your frustration. You finish a prayer or watch a video like this feeling motivated, but it only takes 10 minutes of office chaos or a ping in your pocket for that peace to vanish. You're back in reactive mode. The problem is that you're trying to fight a modern war with medieval tactics. You're relying solely on willpower. And let me tell you a secret. Willpower is a finite resource. It runs out. A wise man doesn't just rely on the strength of his arm, he builds systems that protect his mind. God is a God of order, not confusion. If you look at creation, everything has a time, a cycle, and a limit. The sun doesn't rise when it feels like it, it follows a set order. The Bible gives us the blueprint for this organization. In 1 Corinthians 14:40 we read, "But all things should be done decently and in order." That's not just an instruction for church services, brother. It's a life principle. A man who lives in disorder, with a messy schedule, a chaotic workspace, and a phone with no filters, is inviting confusion into his spirit. External order creates space for internal peace. So, let's get tactical. How do you reclaim the government of your day? Digital exile. Your phone is a tool, not your master. If the first thing you do when you wake up is check notifications, you've already lost the day. You've handed over the keys to your mind to the world before even speaking to your creator. The rule is simple. The world can wait 1 hour. Use the first hour of your day for what is eternal. Leave your phone in another room. The rule of the 3 walls. At the start of each day, choose only 3 tasks that represent your great work for today. Everything else is noise. If you complete those 3 things, the day is a victory. This removes the weight of that infinite to-do list that triggers anxiety and makes you run toward distraction just to escape the pressure. Focus blocks. Remember Nehemiah? He didn't come down from the wall every 5 minutes. Set blocks of time, 60 or 90 minutes, where you are on the wall. No internet, no side conversations, no interruptions. It's just you, the task, and God. The relief here, brother, is realizing that you don't have to handle everything. You only need to handle what is essential. When you put order in your life, time seems to expand. You stop playing catch-up and start walking with purpose. Self-mastery isn't a prison, it's the key to your cell. A disciplined man is a free man because he does what he decided to do, not what his impulses or notifications command him to do. These tools are the bricks of your wall. They protect what is most valuable. But what good is a wall if there isn't something precious being built inside? It's not just about being productive to make more money. There is a higher purpose behind your focus. When you master your time, you become a different kind of man. A man who builds. A man who leaves a trail of light wherever he goes. Can you visualize who you become when you stop being a slave to distraction? What happens to your family, your work, and your legacy when you finally take the wheel?
The man who builds.
Look around you for a moment. The world is full of men who are merely consumers. They consume entertainment, they consume news, they consume other people's time, and at the end of the day, they have built absolutely nothing. A man who lives submerged in distraction is like someone trying to fill a leaky bucket. He spends an incredible amount of energy, but he never has anything to show for it. But the man who masters his time, the man who wins the war against distraction, becomes a builder. And there is nothing more respectable or magnetic than a man who knows exactly what he is building. When you take control of your focus, the atmosphere of your home changes. Your wife feels that you are there, body and soul. Your children feel the security of a father who isn't a digital ghost, but a solid, grounded presence. There is a foundation for this kind of construction. Jesus spoke about it in a way that every man who has ever picked up a tool understands perfectly. It's in Matthew 7:24-25. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. Distraction is the sand, brother. It's unstable. It shifts with every wind of doctrine or every social media notification. If you build your life on what is urgent and loud, your structure will collapse at the first sign of a crisis. But when you use your time to practice principles, to serve your family, and to seek the truth, you are laying bricks upon the rock. Being a man who builds means your work has purpose. It means you aren't just killing time until the weekend arrives. You understand that every hour of deep focus is an investment in your legacy. You become the type of man who provides not just a paycheck, but direction and emotional stability. The relief here is that it's never too late to lay the next brick. Maybe you feel like you've wasted years on distractions. Forget what lies behind. God's grace is there to set us on our feet and give us a fresh start on the work. The rock is still there. The tools are in your hand. What are you going to build today? When you start building with focus, you realize that true happiness isn't found in distraction, but in the fulfillment of a duty well done. The peace of hitting the pillow at night, knowing you were faithful with the time you were given, is priceless. But to keep this building standing, you cannot be a passive man. Life will try to drag you back to the couch, to the infinite scroll, to mediocrity. There is one last step you need to take. It's time to leave the sidelines and enter the arena where real men are forged.
Look at me. We've talked about the mental war and how distractions are the thieves of your destiny. You now have the map and the tools. You know that your focus is an act of worship and your time is your most sacred stewardship. But here's a hard truth. Knowing is not the same as doing. The world is full of experts in self-development videos, men who know everything about productivity but continue to live mediocre lives because they never leave the sidelines. The arena of life is uncomfortable. It takes work to stay focused. It hurts to say no to immediate pleasure. But it is only there, in the arena, that a man's character is forged. The Apostle Paul, a man who understood what it meant to live with an absolute mission, wrote something to his disciple Timothy that serves as our battle cry today. In 1 Corinthians 9:24-26, he says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it." Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air. Did you catch that? Self-control in all things. To win the race, to take the prize God has for you, you're going to have to abstain from what is irrelevant. You can't run a marathon carrying a bag of trash on your back. Distractions are that trash. Today, I'm inviting you to stop beating the air. Stop wasting your energy on uncertain things, on empty controversies, and on entertainment that leaves you hungrier than when you started. Decide today that you will be a man who runs with direction. The prize isn't just a bigger bank account or a more organized house. The prize is reaching the end of your journey, looking back and seeing a wall that was built, a family that was protected, and a faith that was lived out. The prize is hearing the Father say, "You used the time I gave you well." Don't let this conviction cool down after you close this video. Your first test is coming in 5 minutes. What are you going to do with your phone? What will be your first decision of focus today? You aren't running this race alone. God has given you a spirit of self-mastery, and you have brothers on the same path. Honor the man you were called to be. Honor the time the Creator placed in your hands. Get back to your post on the wall. The work is great, and the Lord of the harvest is counting on you.